So it's January 6th and we are now in Ontario. So new year, new location. I've come here to help support and grow the team here in our appraisals in Ontario. Today we're at Fort Erie. So we're at the south end of the province. Actually, if you look across the lake, Lake Erie, we have Buffalo, New York. And if we look over here, we have the old fort, which was built in the 1700s. It was there for the American Revolution. It was there for the War of 1812. In fact, interesting history to it. It was sacked a few times by the Americans. Of course, now it's on Canadian soil. Very interesting building and history here. We just saw an 85-acre farm here in Fort Erie. Fort Erie is a population of about 30,000. It's growing at a rate of about 0.5% a year. So it's in the county of Niagara, and where we have communities such as St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, Welland, growing quite fast. Fort Erie is a little bit overlooked. However, there's a lot of new construction taking place here along the water. So I do think that it is a spot that will grow faster. Having said all that, we looked at an 84-acre property. It's the second time we appraised it. It is a horse property. There's about 10 paddocks, 2 outdoor riding rings and roping rings. There is a massive indoor arena with viewing gallery, 25 stalls, and a nice house as well, 5-bedroom house. Older farmhouse, been updated. We appraised this property before, and at that time we were at about 2.7 million. It looks to be holding strong there, probably up a bit. We looked at some of the recent sales in 2023. There were a couple sales of properties around the 30 to 35,000 an acre, which would put us actually well into the 2.7 range without the improvements. Now, these horse improvements are worth a lot, especially because they've been really well maintained. So I want to make sure that I talk about that. The property, the arena, the stalls, the property itself, the paddocks, and the home have been well maintained. And I believe it's well built. And actually, I'll turn the camera around. I'm with my team member, George, who actually appraised the property back in 2021. He has much more technical knowledge than me, but I believe that you had some thoughts on the construction quality, George?
I'd have to look at my notes, but if I recall, that property was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was well built. They spent a lot of money on the home and around the stalls and that whole riding. I think that whole riding area. I was really impressed with that.
They had a steel structure on their riding arena, I believe, built by a company called Seco.
Yes.
Yeah. So that has really made
that was like a commercial grade, really high end property.
Okay.
You know, and it was really hard to say, you know, how well it was built. But, you know, you look at that, I've done some higher end commercial. That was right up there.
Okay. All right. So I'm putting it back, you know, George's experience, he's been a building inspector for decades. So he's looking at the structural aspect. Of course, I'm looking at the value aspect. But both of us agree it's well built. I've seen a lot of horse properties and arenas. This one has really stood up as far as the condition. They've maintained it, but it's well built. So if you look at what the contributory value of that is, it's easily $500,000. We'll probably get over the 3 million mark. There is really not much for sale at all right now. There's nothing under 40,000 an acre. So there's nothing in Fort Erie. I do know if you go west a bit and north a bit, there are some properties, but like in Lincoln, with vacant land. So you have value in the land and you have value in these improvements. Of course, you have to find the right buyer. So I will say that it might take some exposure time to sell this property, but it is something sought after, offers value for the right buyer. Okay, so when we're talking about Fort Erie, we are saying that, you know, it has a long history, and also recently there is big talk of redevelopment similar to what's happening on the Ridgeway area. But give us a taste of what you were just talking about in the connection to New York, which is right behind you.
Well, you know, you're talking about Ridgeway. We're in Fort Erie. You go around the corner. And you know, 5 or 6 miles, you've got sandy beaches on Lake Erie here, and they go along Fort Erie. There's Crescent Beach, there's Ridgeway, which really Ridgeway backs onto Crystal Beach. Crystal Beach has a long history. The Buffalo Yacht Club is there, and there used to be a ferry that used to go back and forth from Buffalo to Crystal Beach. There used to be a big like a Canada's Wonderland kind of theme park there.
Yes.
That's gone, but now that's all being replaced. I know there's condos going up. The first condo went up. There's another condo going up. So that is, I think, the gateway now. A lot of people from the GTA didn't discover this area. They're all starting to discover that they can have this instead of going 2 or 3 hours north to Muskoka. So it's a great alternative, a lot easier on traffic. So it's really driving this area, I believe. You know, Fort Erie, you know, you said something about 0.5% growth. You know, if you took Crystal Beach and Ridgeway, that's probably driving most of it. Fort Erie's lower, but that is definitely the area. Beachfront property always command.
Yeah, so this will be a growing up and coming area. I don't think you can really go wrong. The overall collateral strength of the property we're looking at here, being 84 acres, is definitely strong.